Hi, my amazing planner people. It's Jess from My Magical Planner. And today I thought we'd talk about what it was like to Go Wild. Now, I'm not that outgoing, bubbly personality that so many YouTubers are. I am kind of quiet. I tend to like to stay to myself a little bit. And having an introvert's Am I an introvert? Introvert, extrovert? I like being around people. Don't get me wrong. It's just, it wears me out. So I can't do it for long stretches. So if that sounds familiar and you want to hear what going to go wild was like for someone of that perspective, hang around. Let's go through it. All right. So I flew in on Thursday. Nice, calm, short flight. Got to the airport, got an Uber. I originally was going to try and maybe stick around and hop a ride with somebody else. There was an introverts chat actually that was made up on the Go Wild Facebook group. So if you were going to go, I highly recommend becoming part of that group because there is a Go Wild group and then there's a ticket holders group, which you get, I think after you get your ticket, you get like a link to or something. And I highly recommend that group because in that group, you have people who are organizing meals and things like that. But you also this year, and I think it was new to this year. So anybody who's gone in the past, let me know. But there was specifically an introverts chat. This was a place where people who are anxious about going or maybe not as outgoing could get together and we could do smaller group things, which was so helpful. We were also able to give each other encouragement and things. So there was somebody on that chat who was coming in about an hour, hour and a half after me, and my flight ended up getting in early. And so I decided not to wait around that huge amount of time because that airport is really tiny and just hopped an Uber. Luckily, I had an amazing Uber driver. He was like a tour guide. He's going downtown. He's like, this is this, this is that. And it was kind of amazing because I love that type of thing. And he was just really nice. I did pay slightly more for my Uber driver because I was a little anxious and I don't normally go in an Uber by myself. So I paid for like the like premium or something Uber driver, like the Uber drivers have the best ratings or something like that. Anyhow, so I had him take me to the hotel. I went to check in at the hotel, but my room wasn't ready because it was probably around 1, I want to say. And so I was able to leave my luggage with like the bellhop people. And then I went downstairs to the welcome party. And was it a welcome party? I don't know that it was called a welcome party. It was just like the welcome. Like you go in, you get your gifts and everything. So the first thing that we do is like I go down the stairs. I say we, it was just me. But anyhow, you go down the escalator, and at the bottom of the escalator, there were like lines. And I'm like, well, obviously I should be in a line. So I just got in a line going, I hope this is where I'm supposed to be. I don't know. And that was where we got our little bags that had a little bit of swag in them and our t-shirts. And it was so funny. She came up to me, like one of the workers there came up to me and she was like, what t-shirt size are you? And I went, I ordered my ticket the day they went on sale last year. I don't remember what I put down. I think it was this because my size really hasn't changed, but it could have been a different size because I don't remember. And she was like, I don't have a sheet. Here you go. So hopefully everybody got the right size shirt. I just thought that was really funny because I'm used to going, like the only other organized type events I go to, which was before I got sick, I would go and do Run Disney events and everything would be in your bag and there would be like, you'd have to line up, be lined, like M and N would be here and, P and Q over there, that kind of thing. But it wasn't, I think the Run Disney races must be much bigger um, as far as number of people. So it was a little less organized, I'll say, which is really funny because it's a planner conference. It wasn't a bad thing. It probably flowed really easily because people could just come up and they could hand them anything and not have to find their name. So once you got your little bag, you could go into, there was like a big banquet room that had been done up. There was a bunch of places where you could get photos done. There were lines to pick up other freebie things. There was music going on, lots of laughter and people meeting up. And it was really cute and extremely overwhelming. So I kind of looked around. I think I picked up one freebie, which was the little fuzzy keychain thing, and then went, you know what? I'm hungry. I'm going to go upstairs and get some food, and then I'm going to try again. So that's what I did. I went upstairs to one of the hotel, like, to one of the hotel restaurants and just sat there and had a meal. After I had a little bit to eat, I started to calm down some. I kind of messaged in the group and to kind of see who else was there and that kind of thing. Didn't really get a response, but that was okay. After that, I went back downstairs, collected a few more of my freebies, and just kind of hung out and observed things a little bit. Um, Going through the lines took some time, so it wasn't like I was just standing there in a corner or anything. I had things to do. That really helps me to be specific and everything. I didn't really talk to the people around me much because it was so overwhelming, but I didn't feel like I was an outcast or anything like that. So that was kind of day one for me because after that, I got really tired. Part of it is just the travel portion and my health and everything. So before the welcome party, I made a conscious decision that I wanted to make the most out of the next day. And while karaoke sounded fun, I knew I wasn't going to sing and that the social interaction around me might be too much. So I was going to not attend in hopes that I could make the most out of the next day and not feel so worn out. So instead, I went to bed really early. I just read a book and, had my tea. And it was actually really nice. It was really restful. I had a room to myself. Um, just because I didn't know anybody going there. I know a lot of people meet up and have the ability to share a room with somebody. But as an introvert, I needed that space. I needed the quiet and the ability to just get away from everybody else. So I'm trading that off for the connections other people have made and everything else. I appreciate the connections other people make and stuff, and I'm grateful for them. So the next morning, they had said you couldn't get in line until 6:30, and I'm a rule follower. So I got up at 6 and got all around, went downstairs. I got there at 6:33, and I expected there to be, 20, 50 people in line. Oh no. So this hotel, it's kind of like a U shape, and it went from like the center portion all the way to the end before I got to the end of the line, and it had already started to circle back. And I was like, I thought we couldn't line up until 6:30. What happened? It was a very organized line, I will say that. At I think around 7, it could have been a little earlier than that. They took us from being up in that hallway upstairs because the room that we were actually going to be in was downstairs, and they had that portion blocked off. So we were lining up upstairs, and then they started sending us down, and they lined us up downstairs for another half hour. And we filled up the whole downstairs. And I think there were people upstairs as well. But they were, you'd only get so many people down the escalator at once. So the person at the bottom wouldn't get overwhelmed and get you organized where you needed to be in the line down there. And then, I talked to the people next to me. They were really nice. We joked about the early morning and everything. The person next to me ended up being on the live that was being done that morning. I'm not really into like being on the spot. I get really nervous and everything. which is so bizarre, right? But totally me. Um, so we stood in line, and then about a little after 7:30, I think it was, that they started. I mean, I could be wrong on the times. Let me look. What time did they let us in? Yeah, 7:30 was when the doors opened. Now, this is the day when all of the rooms are all of the tables are really done up, and you get to pick your table and everything. And I kept going, well, what table? I have to go in with a table in mind, and I have to pick the right table. And what if there's a bad table? I don't want the bad table. And like literally, I'm going through this in my brain, going, who whose table is going to be the best for me? Which is so ridiculous because after being in the room, I don't know that I would have been sad at any of the tables, to be honest. There were a couple that I probably would have avoided, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyhow, they started letting us in. I think it was probably around like 20 people at a time in the line, so you didn't have this big ambush or stampede. They handed you light sticks as you were either in the line or came into the room. And then you got to kind of walk into this room. You're walking in from the side, and there's all these tables laid out, and the stage is up front. I didn't even think about the stage. I was so focused on the product, right? And I came in, and because it felt like I was so far back in the line, I was like, oh, I should grab the first table that I come to that feels like it's the right place for me. So I ended up going in, and I'm like, I want to be on the main floor and not, because there was like a main floor and then there was kind of a raised area at the back. I was like, I want to be on the main floor. I know that. So I go down like this little ramp, and I'm looking around, and I see a zebra table, and I'm like, I know I will use zebra products. Even if I'm not using them in planning specifically, I will 100% use zebra products. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get the zebra table. So I go over, and there's like one person I think sitting at the table, and I'm like, would it be okay if I like, is anybody sitting here? Can I sit next to you? And she was like, that'd be great. So I was able to set my backpack down, and I was like, would you mind if I take my camera and kind of look at the other tables? So I just wanted to see what else was out there. I didn't have any intention of changing or anything. So I take my phone and I was so excited and so nervous that I thought I turned it on to record. Nope. Mm-mm. No, didn't. So I walk around the entire room, and I think I'm filming all these tables. Not at all. As people are trying to get past me to get to certain tables and stuff, and I'm like, look at this one. Yeah, not recorded at all. I'm sure people thought I was crazy. I think I'm crazy. So afterwards, I go back and sit down. I'm like, okay, time to calm down. It's all good. We have a good table and everything. And the conference starts. So let's talk about the tables. I did get up at a later point, and I think I have a recording of some of the tables. So I'm going to insert that here while I talk. There were a couple of tables that I felt like maybe they could have done a little bit better, and it actually surprised me which tables they were. So the big one, and I noticed this overall, is that people were coming in and specifically avoiding the Erin Condren tables, which I found really interesting. And I turned at one point and talked to my table mate about it. I was like, I'm really surprised, so many people are avoiding these Erin Condren tables and everything. And she went, well, I'm an Erin Condren person, and I looked at the table, and everything that was there I already own. So there was no new product. There was a lot of things that maybe and granted, I didn't sit at the Erin Condren table, so I don't know, but it appeared that it was a lot of things that were already in the store and nothing new and exciting to draw someone to that table. if you were new to Erin Condren and didn't have a lot of the product, I could see how it would be really exciting. The Happy Planner tables, on the other hand, had new product that wasn't even released yet. The zebra tables had things that, like some of the combinations, I'm pretty sure you could only get at Go Wild and that kind of thing. And there was so much of it. Some of the other tables just had unique items that you could only get, there. So it was just kind of interesting to me. The other table that I think didn't get a whole lot of love would be I think it was the alt new table. And I don't know it was all at the table because it was hard to tell. Because there was this really pretty bag on the table, and I think there was a notebook too. But I don't know what's inside the bag, but it just looked so much less than the other tables. So I think what happened is people came in and saw the table and looked at the table next to it and went, oh, I don't think I want to sit there because I feel like I'm not getting as much. Sometimes these products, the like, I don't know if they had like a specialty stamp set or something inside the bag. I haven't seen, but a lot of the times, like, it's not always equal. Like, you can get a lot in a small area. So I think it was just the initial look of looking at it and being like, oh, that's not as much as X, if that makes sense. So, but generally speaking, I'd say the tables were all really nice. A lot of the brands like I had heard of, but I didn't realize were going to be table sponsors. And it was just a lot of everything. Really upbeat, really happy. I didn't hear anybody really complain about their table. I'm trying to think. But it was a lot of fun. So you had that. And then they had a little bit of a while trying to get us to settle down because we were all so excited and looking at our stuff. I will say the one problem with sitting at the zebra table is, so I like to take notes. So like these are my notes. I didn't even have enough room on the table for this guy. And they had this big zebra balloon, which was amazing, right? But because of where we were sitting, we couldn't see the speaker through the zebra. So we asked, so each table was supposed to have a volunteer. And my second day, that wasn't the case. So I'm not sure if they didn't have enough volunteers for the second day or what the deal was, but we had a volunteer at our table. And so we were like, is it okay if we take the zebra and put him under the table so that we can see? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. It was just really funny. So we took the zebra under the table. And we also took some of the items off the table and kind of put them beside or under. And then I think at the first break, some of us took things up to our room. Like, I was only a floor up. I specifically wanted a floor that was really easy to get to. The other thing I did, and I did this unconsciously, is so we were on like the basement floor or whatever. And when I went to take stuff up to my room, rather than trying to get on the elevator right there, because I was right next to the stairs, I went up a flight of stairs and then got the elevator. And then I didn't have to wait for like a million people. And it took me less than 5 minutes to run everything up to my room and back. So just thoughts. I did later in the week end up using the stairs some, which I wish I knew a closer staircase to where my room was.
Hey guys, it's editing Jess. I'm just sitting here editing away and I realize this video is getting pretty long and it's longer than I would like it to be if I keep it all as one part. So I'm going to go ahead and break it into 3 different parts. We're going to have this one and then we'll have one on all the speakers and my thoughts plus some clips from them. And then we will also have a tips video to kind of finish off this series, which I think will be really nice. And I'm really enjoying going back over all this footage. It was such a good experience overall that I'm so happy that I went. And yeah, I can't wait to share the rest of it with you guys. Until next time, I'll see you guys real soon.